So I haven't made a video in a while, and I decided to make today's topic, well, tonight's topic, because I'm actually filming this pretty late at night, and then I have to spend time editing. Wow. Um, Wanted to make this topic about like bullying. So I dealt with bullying all throughout school. It kind of stopped somewhere between 10th to 12th grade, but then the bullying just changed to like people not wanting anything to do with me, avoiding me like the plague. But that's a whole, I'll talk about that another time. But I was being bullied in elementary school. I was bullied the worst in middle school. And then I was bullied in ninth grade. But in ninth grade, it wasn't so much people calling me names. It was more of like people just trying to fight me a lot. For no reason. Like I don't even be starting fights. They just come to me and they're like, oh, you like bumping into me and trying to provoke me and stuff. I'm like, oh. But I'll get into another video soon about like my high school experience and what happened during high school. I have a very interesting story about high school because I in high school went from going to one school, then being homeschooled, then going to a different school. So it was crazy. So I'll get to that later. Okay, so there was one specific bully that I had that was, I would say, the worst one I had to deal with. And she bullied me mainly in 7th grade, like the whole entire 7th grade year. And so I'll tell you the story of like what happened. Of course, I'm not going to be giving out any names of people because, I'm not like that. So basically it started with like I had one friend that I was close with in 7th grade. Let's call her I'm trying to think of a name. Mary. She's called Mary, okay? So her name's not really Mary, but I was friends with Mary, and like I was trying to, it was the beginning of the school year, and I randomly sat down at a table, and I was waiting for Mary to get her lunch so she could sit down, at the table with me and we could eat lunch together. And so there was another girl, the girl who is my bully. She wasn't bullying me at this point. And her name, I'm going to say her name is Rachel. So Rachel was like, oh, you can, Mary wasn't at the table yet. So Rachel was like, oh, you can't sit here. And I was like, oh, why not? And they were like, because this is our table, you're not allowed to sit here. And I was like, oh. And like, I was just so innocent. I was just like, okay, I'll move. And then like at that same point, Mary was like overhearing this as she was walking to the table. And she was like, no, you don't have to move. You don't have to move. And she said, you don't have to listen to her. And then Rachel got a little attitude and was like, they started going back and forth. And she said, no, you stay right there. You stay right there. You don't have to move. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And like, I grabbed my tray and I moved to a different table. And then she was telling me, you didn't have to move. You can sit wherever you want. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want any trouble. And so I sat at a different table with Mary, trying to be careful not to accidentally say names. And then from that point on, Rachel targeted the both of us, but she seemed to target me a little more. I don't know, it might have been equal, but I was only mainly paying attention to myself. And like, she started targeting us, calling us names all the time, bullying us. And turns out she bullied other people too, more people than just the both of us. So she, sorry, the traffic is like, I live in a city, but she bullied quite a few people, and it was only girls that she bullied. So she called, well, I don't know what she called my other friend. I know she used some racial slurs for her because my friend Mary, she was white. So I remember Rachel using some racial slurs, like calling calling her like, I don't know, I can't remember. I just remember her being racist towards her. And then also, you know, my friend, she was very skinny, and so a lot of people teased her and called her anorexic, and that's what Rachel started doing. She would call me names, Rachel would call me names like, she'll call me retarded, stupid, ugly, I look like this, I look like that, like naming different things I look like, and make fun of my teeth. Oh my gosh, like every name in the book. And then she would say like how much she hated me, how much she wanted to beat me up. There was an unfortunate event, and in the middle of class, you know, Rachel was writing, and then she froze. And then after she froze, she dropped to the floor, and she had a grand mal seizure in the middle of class. And I remember, you know, everyone, like, they were telling us to back up, and we literally were like standing around this poor girl on the floor having a full out seizure. And it was really scary for a lot of us because, you know, we're really young, we never seen anything like this before, you know. And so they eventually got all of us out of the room, and, you know, medics came in, and it just was really sad and heartbreaking. And like, even though she was like so cruel to me, like, you know, I felt bad for her, you know, like it was just like scary. I don't want, you know, I don't want anything, I didn't want anything to happen to her, you know. And so she was in the hospital apparently for a while. Well, not for a while, but she went to the hospital, and then apparently she went out of state. I'm not going to say the state because I'm trying not to give too many details to who this is. And so she went out of state, then she came back, and when she came back, me and Mary, we had decided, oh, let's give her like some gifts or stuff, like a gift basket or, you know, of things, you know, get well type thing. And so we both, she got her some stuff, I can't remember. And I remember I gave her like a teddy bear. I gave her like a body spray thing. I can't remember. I gave her a couple things, and then we both made her a little card, and, you know, and we did this for this girl who was so mean to us. And we, I don't know, because we were just, me and Mary, we were just nice people. Well, Mary turned out not to be nice, but I'll tell you guys about that later. But, you know, we were just being nice. And so, you know, Rachel, she got the gifts from us, and she just felt so thankful. And she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys would give me, you know, this stuff, and I've been so mean to you and stuff. Can we be friends? And we were like, yeah, sure. And we exchanged numbers. Like, both of us got her number. We became friends with her. Sometimes we would talk on the phone, and like on three-way. And it was really cool. And we became friends with her. And I was like, I felt so relieved because I was like, I don't have this girl, like, at least it's one less bully I have to deal with. And it felt nice making a new friend, you know. But then she started to use us. She started to ask us for money. Like, she would ask us, how much is your allowance? And like, in my family, I didn't get much allowance. I got like, I think $5 a week. I know it's kind of, don't come from my parents, okay? But like, you know, I did like chores, and I would get like $5 a week. So, I, you know, I was happy with that. I mean, I wanted more, but, you know, I was happy that I was getting money. And she would, like, ask me for my allowance money. And she would ask Mary for her allowance money. And Mary, you know, sometimes gave it, and then, like, most of the time would be like, no. And then, like, for me, I was like, I only get $5, and she still was, like, asking for the whole $5. And I think I gave it to her like once. I can't remember. But then I just started saying no, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't get that much money. And she then turned on us. And she started like bullying us like hardcore again. She started with the name calling. She did things like she teamed up with other people to bully me. I had one other friend. Let me think of a name. She doesn't have to have a name. I had another friend that I was friends with since elementary school and into the middle school. And she got that friend to turn against me. And so that friend started bullying me. And she would do stuff like she would throw my... Every time, like, we had a class together, me and Rachel had a class together, and she would, like, I would turn in my assignment, put it on the desk, and she would go and throw it in the trash. And I caught her doing it once because, like, I was wondering why my grades were going down, and I was like, I'm completing my assignments, and then the teacher's like, I'm not getting your assignments, and I'm like, oh. And like and then like I caught her one day, like I put it on the table, and as I was walking out I turned around and she was throwing it in the trash. And like back then, like the teachers, the school system didn't really give a damn about bullying. Like they would just tell them, that's not nice, don't do that. And that's about it. They didn't really care. And so when I told the teacher, they were just like, well, we didn't see her do it. And I was just like,
they ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
And then it started getting more serious. Like she was doing stuff like she one time in class threw my purse into the trash can when I used to carry purses. But she threw my purse into the trash can, and then she asked me, she was like, "Where's your purse?" And I was like, "I don't know." And her and some other kids were laughing, and she says, "In the trash." And she said, "Go get it out." And I was just like, "Oh." And I went over and I took it out the trash, and she she threw paper balls at me in class, and the teachers didn't do crap diddly. Um, yeah, she loved throwing paper balls at me. She started like, and then it got super duper serious, and she started giving me death threats. She not only did she say that she was going to beat me up every single day, and she never did it. She said that one day she said, you know, me and one of the other girls that she turned against me that used to be my friend, she said she told me where you live at because she knew where I live at, and she said she told me your address, and she said I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna kill you and your parents. And so I'm like, ooh, ooh. So I went home and I told my parents, and I'm like, hey, yeah, you know the girl that's been making my life a living hell? Yeah, she said she was gonna come up here and kill all of us. And so my parents weren't having that. So they were already like sick of this girl because she was really making my life miserable. And like, she would like, before I blocked her number, you know, she would call my phone, like, and her and the other girl would call my phone over and over and over again and like leave harassing voicemails. And one time my mom ended up answering my phone, and she was just like, you know, going off on the girl saying, leave my daughter alone, and no, 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 you know, it just was getting so out of hand. And so my parents, they called the police. An officer got dispatched to the house, and we told them, you know, she threatened to kill all of us. And the police officer was like, oh, you know, I remember he was like making excuses for her, saying, you know, oh, she's just a kid and she probably doesn't mean that and stuff. I don't think there's anything to worry about. Just tell the school, you know, when you go back to school. And he left. And like, I feel like that was so crazy because do you know how many kids like kill each other in school? Like like that is a thing. Like just because you're young, just because you're 13 or 12 doesn't mean you don't have the capability of killing someone. So like, it was crazy, but she didn't, she was just all talk though. But it's just the fact that the police just like shrugged that aside as like not an important issue, and she was just talking. And like, so she every day was saying to me, you know, I'm gonna beat you up, I'm gonna beat you up, I'm gonna beat your ass. And stuff like that. And I just kind of took it and I just like ignored it, and I'm just like, and like, one day I just got fed up. I did. I got fed up. And like, she was like saying all that nonsense about beating me up again. Sorry about the sirens. Once again, I live in a city, a very, very busy city. So there's always sirens. Anyway, I'm going to talk over it. So one day she was like, you know, on her game again and being like, oh, I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to beat your A on the last, you know. Yeah. And, I was like, I was like fed up. I was like, all right, you want to fight me? Fight me now. Why aren't you fighting me now? And then she was like, oh no, I'm gonna fight you on the last day of school. I'm gonna beat you up on the last day of school. And I was like, why can't you fight me now though? Why you have to wait? And then she was like, oh no, I'm gonna fight you on the last day of school. I'm gonna fight you on the last day of school. And I'm like, okay. And so for the rest of that school year, it was like the same thing. Her threatening to beat me up, me being like, come on then, because I was like so freaking tired. Like you get to a point when you've had enough. You know, going through a whole school year with a person harassing you every single day in school and outside of school, it gets pretty old. And not even like that person, but like you're dealing with other people harassing you too. And so I was like, come on, and stuff like that. So that went on for like probably 2 more months, and then it was like the last day of school. And the last day of school, I came to school and I was like mentally preparing myself. I was like, okay, today is the day I'm gonna have to defend myself. I may have to get into a physical fight today. Well, I didn't have to, but like, I was young. But like, I was like, I may have to get in a fight today, but you know, at least she'll know not to mess with me anymore. And so I came to school the last day of school and hold on. Hold on. She didn't come to school that day.
Oh, no, 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 no.
She did not come to school that day. I kid you not, she did not come to school that day. She had like perfect attendance. She would come to school every single day, probably because her purpose in life is to make other people miserable. And so she came to school every day but the last day of school. And I remember the couple people that I was friends with, they were like, oh, you ready? You ready? And I was like, yeah, I'm ready. And then like she doesn't show up and everybody was like, everybody knew about our conflict because of her like harassing me and stuff. And like they were like looking forward to the last day. And then they were like, oh, she didn't even show up. And so that next school year, like in 8th grade, she didn't mess with me at all. I didn't have any problems from her in 8th grade. I think I might have had one small problem. I can't remember. I think it was something, or I don't know. But I didn't, she didn't mess with me in 8th grade. And it's probably because she felt so a bit embarrassed for like not showing up. I don't know. But I just wanted to tell that story.